Hey guys, DylanSchuyler here with 8 months of tea. It was kind of a large update. I got a front and back of a sticky card covered with notes that I've made. It was very weird not doing the every other week, but it was nice because I was able to add on a new thing onto my YouTube channel, which I've been calling Buddhist Sorcery. And I've been doing also some research a little bit into like shamanism a little bit more. Apparently, in the past, in Celtic like traditions, being called a sorcerer was interchangeable with being called a shaman. So there's that as well. I am also a descent of Native American blood, so researching that and having sorcery be like kind of witchy and then also shamanic, it definitely vibes with me a lot. So I'm gonna continue on that path. I was gonna do another update, but I can only do like one video at a time until I've edited one and then posted it. I was gonna do two, but after I post this one, then I'm gonna be filming my next update for that kind of witchy thing again as well, because I want to do like every other week for the witchy one, or at least every other week for one of the three types of videos that I want to do, which is my tea one, the Buddhist sorcery one, and then I also want to do like a Cosmo one as well, which I haven't dove into quite yet, but we're gonna get there. So let's just go into the tea updates now that you guys know like what's going on a little bit on like my channel. So the tough part of being on tea now, since I don't really have the video every other week to kind of motivate me, it's now just once a month. It was a little bit hard at first because I was just like, do I really want to keep taking my injection? And then, of course, I mean, this is like a normal check-in thing that I do with myself every time I do an injection, where I'm just like, do I want to keep doing this? Is this actually something that I'm still feeling into? Is this still me? And I always get the answer yes, so it's always still me confirming with myself, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is the direction I'm moving in. So, it's just like me questioning being on tea. It is a thing that I do every single time, where I'm like, is this still me? And so it kind of was like a little bit hard because I am gender fluid, which I haven't really talked much about. I try to hide that I'm gender fluid because I'm not comfortable with being gender fluid, because it makes everything so much more complicated and very annoying, because of the fact that like I can go from day to day of being a guy, and then from another week I can go from day to day of being like, oh, I'm a guy today. Oh, no, now I'm non-binary. Well, today maybe I'm feeling a little bit more feminine than normal or something like that. It's very annoying because it's like, what's your pronouns today? And you have to like have people that are very open-minded and willing to just like make that adjustment from day to day. And then they also got to keep it in check in their head, like, what's your pronouns for today? Yeah, so today it's she and her, and then tomorrow it's gonna be he, him, and then the next day after that it's gonna be they, them, or they. And so it's like, it's too complicated, so I usually just like completely avoid it, and I'm like, everybody just call me he, him, because it's baseline easier that way. But yeah, gender fluid is not something that I wanted to ever be. I've been gender fluid since I started being non-binary, but it didn't fully vibe with me because they, them, and wasn't fully the pronouns that I liked as much as they, them, which is XE, XEM, or XRY, or something like that. I can't remember the exact spelling. I always have to look up the zer. So it's they, them, theirs, or their. It's kind of, yeah, it's complicated because it's a whole new pronoun that not everybody knows, and it's kind of hard to follow as well. So here's my little talk on like pronouns a little bit. There's way more pronouns in the world than these 3 different types. There's so many different types of non-binary ones. Here's a list of a bunch of non-binary ones. And of course, you have your male and female, which are always going to be she and her, or he and him. If you guys also need to know any of the pronunciation of these, I will do my best in trying to pronounce them. I haven't really looked too much into the list myself, but we can dive more into that next time. And so something else that I've been also kind of like coming upon me, which has really never been like a thing before, where I kind of am having like the male urge to have my bloodline kind of keep going, but I don't want to be like pregnant or carrying any children, because to me, a lot of people will differ on this opinion, but to me, having children and having a child grow inside of you is very parasitic, and it seems like something that's just like, it's gross to me, like having something growing inside of you and basically sucking the life out of you, because your nails, your hair and stuff get all nice and rejuvenated while you're pregnant, but the second it's out of your body, it like falls apart and you lose a bunch of hair and then you look pale and gross, and it's like, it basically is a parasite to me. So being pregnant, no, I'm not okay with that. And so I've also looked into donating eggs, because obviously I don't have sperm, which for guys, donating sperm is a lot easier, because you can literally make like $100 off of each ejaculation you donate, which is really kind of annoying, because for females, if you want to, or not females, people with uteruses and ovaries, you literally have to have an operation, and then maybe they'll take a couple eggs, and then each time you want to donate, you have to keep getting cut back open, and then like keep removing this kind of thing. And then it's also not really like in question if you'll be able to donate to begin with, because if you don't previously have kids, then there's like a likeliness that your eggs aren't even able to get fertile. So them taking them is kind of difficult, because it's like, if you don't previously have kids, then how do we know you're going to be able to have fertile eggs? And then also being a person that's on T, they're just like, oh, then your eggs are just no good anyways. So it's like, if you're going to be on estrogen, then donate sperm before you're on estrogen. Probably won't let you donate sperm after you're on estrogen, which is kind of annoying. If you're somebody who is on testosterone and you want to make money off your eggs, you probably should think about that before. And if you are also somebody who's had a kid, but then you also want to go on to testosterone, donate your eggs before you go on to testosterone, because I don't know what's up with the medical system, but the second they hear that you're on hormones of some sort, they're just like, nah, we don't want to take your stuff. So something to know before you go on to your hormones, just a little bit to know. I've been also looking more into what's the meaning of being asexual. I feel like I am asexual, but then I have my days when I'm not, so I don't know if there's like a gender fluid, but like sexuality wise, where you flux in between being asexual and then not. But I was looking into asexuality a little bit more, where um, asexual people can have a very high sex drive, but just not like doing the deed, basically. So that basically means that they can sit there and be horny and enjoy jerking off and stuff and then getting themselves off, but also find like it's annoying and it's a task, and like you have to like go through this whole process just to get like feeling better and get rid of this itch for getting rid of being horny. And so a high sex drive person uh, can exist as an asexual. So if you are asexual, it usually means that you don't experience sexual attractions to other people, and having sex feels more like a chore versus actually like pleasurable sometimes. And so it doesn't, that's where I'm like, am I asexual? Because when I'm not in a relationship, that's basically how it feels. Um, to me, where I'm like, it just feels like it's a chore. I do have a little bit of a high sex drive sometimes, but like sleeping with people, no, it's not really my thing too much anymore. When I am in a relationship, I can basically have the attraction to basically just that person, maybe sometimes occasionally somebody else that I'm like having a crush on or something, maybe. But again, that kind of ties in with being demisexual. You have to have like a mental attraction to a person to be able to experience any sexual attraction at all. For me, that mental attraction and development is very, very, very slow. It takes multiple years of me knowing you previously. I can't just jump into anything. Like, I get scared off pretty easily. Um, and then sapiosexual, which is the other type, which mean that I kind of vibe with, which means you're attracted to somebody and their like intelligence. And so like if this person is um, like a math geek or a scientist or cosmetologist even, or they could be even like a nerd towards like video games or anime or something like that, just like the mental attraction kind of thing. So I vibe with the mental attraction kind of stuff and the intellectual, and then if I don't have that, then the rest of the other time I'm just asexual with a high sex drive. Very complicated. Took me a while to kind of like dice out what it means and everything is, and like going through male puberty at the same time really fucks you up because you're just like, what am I? And you have to basically go through the whole process of like, what's my sexuality again? What am I attracted to? Which some people it can completely change. Some people your puberty will cease off and then you'll go back to the same kind of attractions and stuff that you had prior. So there's a little bit of complications there. It's a whole questioning ball game. Going through a second puberty is never really any fun. It's exhausting even. But that's what you got to do to be able to become yourself in this manner. So it's like, okay, we'll deal with it. Um, and so, shaving wise, I have shaved once within this past month. So, right now, I'm a very slightly stubbly. Something else that I've noticed is like the skin has kind of gotten a little bit like thicker right here on the corners. And this is where I'm having like consistent regrowth where it's actually kind of building up a little bit. I can imagine it'll probably creep up a little bit more into this area, but I'm very lightly peach fuzzy stabby at the moment. I don't know how much you guys can see it, but there is a little bit there. Um, Something that I also experienced going through my first puberty is my eczema flared up a lot, and it's kind of been doing that as well. So I guess the change in hormones brings it out. I've had a little bit of like eczema kind of here. It's a little bit red. I don't know how much you guys can see, but it is a little bit red right here. It kind of has gone down here. I've never had eczema on my neck and my chest before, so this is like a whole new thing. I used to only get eczema behind my ears, and more recent years I've gotten it inside my ear, which causes itchiness, hence why I've itched my ear a couple times. But I mainly have only ever gotten it behind my ears. I used to get it so bad that I could literally just pick away flakes, like big old chunks of flakes. So like basically like when you have your peeling skin from a sunburn, but in a drier manner, not so much of like a stretchy, peely kind of way thing. So eczema is flaring up a little bit because of the hormones. And something else that I've experienced this past month is discharge is not very fun. It gets really gross and it kind of is like sticky and clumpy, and then it can be also like very stringy. And so I found myself changing my underwear maybe one extra time a day, or even like 2 times a day plus. And it can be very annoying because I'm going through my underwear like crazy, but luckily I have a washing machine, so it's fine. But it makes it annoying, so if I like wanted to like sleep without pants on or something like that, I have the risk of worrying about discharge getting all over my bed. So I don't know if it's corresponding to the time of month that I would normally, if I was still not on T, to get a period, because right now I haven't been experiencing that through this past week, so I'll have to pay attention to when my period tracker would have said that I would originally have gotten my period, and see if that's corresponding with me getting a lot of discharge. I'm pretty sure that is a correct hypothesis. So there's that. And then something that I don't know how much I've talked about in the past, but if somebody was to go back off of T, you will have to go back through female puberty all over again, which really sucks because you'll experience the breast soreness, and then you're gonna get your periods again, and you're gonna have to deal with your cramps again, and then you possibly will lose a lot of weight. Your hair may get a little bit softer, your skin may get a little softer, your muscles you'll lose some strength. And so basically just female puberty all over again, and none of that sounds appealing to me. So this is kind of like a back thought that's in my head, is if potentially if the medical system, because of people not supporting trans people, ends up making it so people who are trans are no longer able to get their hormones, what I will potentially have to go through all over again, and I know it'll be miserable because I hate having periods and I hate feeling like a female. Like, I like feeling like a male, but now since I've come to terms more being with gender fluid, I don't mind sometimes experiencing someone calling me a female, but I don't want to experience it like every time. Like, I don't mind someone walking up to me and being like he, him, and then maybe some ignorant person being like she, her, or whatever. I don't really care anymore because I don't feel female and it doesn't define me. Their opinions don't matter, kind of thing. So, and usually it's just like a quick little interaction in the store, which I did get misgendered this past week when I went to the store. There was some guy that walked up and called me ma'am, and I was just like, out of all the female pronouns stuff to just kind of like use for me, I guess ma'am is the most okay. If he was just like calling me a woman or a lady, then I would literally cringe so fucking hard because I literally hate those terms. They make me very uncomfortable. So there's that. And so when I was like also talking with one of my friends this past week, we did end up talking a little bit about my gender and stuff and how like I'm feeling and doing with it. I did openly say to her that I do feel like a broken man because of the fact that I was born without male genitalia and I was in the wrong body. I have the male brain, which feels a lot more calmer and at peace with when I do have my hormones. So there's that. But the second that I did have a day this month too to kind of test if I take my hormones a day later, what happens? My brain basically went into panic mode, and like it felt like the world was ending. Everything was like collapsing on me and imploding. All the emotions were like getting flood into me, and I'm just sitting there like, okay. So it basically felt like female puberty coming back on. And so I was just like, okay, things that I don't want to experience. And I went and took my injection, and I was like, okay, now I feel better. And I went and watched some TV, and I was like way more calmer. So I was just experimenting with that. It's not something I'm planning on doing again as long as I still have access to my hormones, because this is a piece of me. This is who I am. I am a guy. I enjoy taking testosterone to feel more myself. I wish that my body could produce it on its own. That would be really nice. I don't know if there's like some sort of like potential invention in the future where like when you get bottom surgery, maybe they put like a ball sack on you where you can put like hormones or something into you where it can do like a weekly injection for you or something like that. I don't know. This is just something that I'm thinking about for potential people in the future. But it's kind of experiencing that 1 week was very uncomfortable, and it kind of set me off for the whole entire week. I kind of spent the whole week in depression after that feeling, so it was not fun or comfortable or any of that such. So that's kind of how that went. And I did end up having my grandma visit for a weekend this past month, which I know some of you possibly are shitting a brick a little bit knowing that, and you're probably sitting there like, oh my gosh, are you okay, kind of thing. Because that was I had a friend also call me afterwards, that friend being Rosie. Love Rosie, always checking in on me, making sure I'm okay. And I also talked with Ricky as well, my other bestie. And they both were like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Is everything fine? And lo and behold, it was a totally fine experience, and I rocked it the whole entire time. Like, she got here, and I took like a very masculine approach to like being a host, where I made sure she felt cared for and like she had everything she needed. Made sure she didn't need to do any heavy lifting, even though she walked her way up into the house, even though the steps were like icy. And once she got in the house, I was like, you know, you could have just told me you were here so I could have helped you in the house. And she's like, you know, I could have, but I wanted to see if I could do it, and I have my bags, and I probably should have left my bags outside so you could have grabbed it. And I was like, okay, well, whatever, I'll help you in from here. And then I gave her a little bit of food. It was fine. And we did a little bit talk about like a little bit of gender stuff, and menopause ended up coming up a little bit, and I mentioned to her that I've already been through menopause now, and I think that kind of clicked in her brain a little bit, where like I don't get periods anymore. I'm a guy, kind of thing. And she was we ended up talking about like balls at one point too, and she was like, if you had any or something, and I just kind of like stood there and a little bit of sadness because I was just like, yeah, I don't have balls. that sucks. I didn't really say anything after that, so I think she kind of caught that she struck a little bit of a chord on me, so it was like, ugh. But she ended up staying an extra day, which was a little uncomfortable at first because of the fact that like unexpected guests are not always the most comfortable for me, especially since I'm an introvert and I love being alone. So I don't really having guests for longer than I expected can be a little abrasive for me sometimes. Which, don't get me wrong, if I had a friend just randomly show up, I would love it. But like if they stayed for an extensive period of time, longer than I could probably tolerate or mentally prepare for, then I'm just like, which sometimes I don't mind, because then I'm just like, you're my friend, I don't mind you being here. But since it was like the first interaction with my grandma, of her like staying here, and I slightly felt like she might be judging me on like how the house is and stuff, it was a little bit like hairy. But I did also ask her opinion if she like felt that the house was like in a okay condition, if she was unhappy with the way it was, because she owns it. So she ended up saying, no, you're doing a really good job, the house looks great, you're taking good care of it, that's all I can ask for. And then I ended up thanking her for letting me live here, and it went pretty well. And so since she stayed an extra day because of a snowstorm, we ended up just spending time in the living room, both like playing on our phones, whatever. But that's kind of like how she spends time with people now, so at least she was kind of happy and satisfied in that manner. Um, and then the next day came around for like shoveling the driveway, which unfortunately the plow guy didn't do. I have a circle driveway, and he didn't do all the circle driveway. And so I went out there and I shoveled the other half of the circle, and then I cleared off her car, and I came back in, and she was like, is there any way I can help? And I'm like, no, you can't really do anything physical, so just leave it alone. It's fine. Which I was kind of frustrated at first, because of the plow guy and like the position of like where she parked, because he wasn't able to plow up to my parking spot as closely as normal. And so I was like a little annoyed, but I got over it, and then I just took it as like I was just getting an extra workout for the day, which is totally fine. And then when I came in, she was like kind of talking to me while I was like warming up my hands a little bit, and she was like, she gave me a compliment saying that I'm turning into, or I'm doing a great job as a young man. And I was like, it just shocked me. I just like stood there in second, and I was just like, what? Huh? Huh? What? Huh? I got acknowledged as a guy by my grandma. What? So it was great. I loved every second. I was like, oh, thank you. And I took it like very mellowly, and then after I was done with everything I was doing, I shoveled off my porch as well. And then I came in, and she was thinking about leaving at that moment because she had to go do some stuff. And I was like, okay, do you want help out of the house? And then I carried her bags, but then she didn't really want to like wait for me to help her down the stairs. But I was like, geez, you're a little impatient, aren't you? And she was like, no, I saw how I could do it, and I wanted to do it. And I was like, okay. And so then she like gave me a hug, and she was like kind of almost crying, and she was like, thank you for taking such good care of me. And I was like, yeah, no problem. You're welcome back anytime if you're feeling lonely, kind of thing. So like her being here, I mean, she was worried about her dog the whole entire time, and this like being the first time she was without her dog. Um, but she did fine, and I'm not a big fan of her dog, so I'm happy that she came without her dog. But it was pleasant, so it wasn't uncomfortable, and I got properly gendered by my grandma. So there's hope for even people you feel like there may never be. So that's good. um, and then, kind of in the same boat as that, I reached out to one of my exes, Alex, and I was just kind of like trying to touch base a little bit, and like I was just like trying to be in a forgiving state of being like, people change, not everybody's the same, for like all of their life. Let's see if like he's gonna be a decent human being to talk with. And I was just like kind of testing the waters. I had myself prepared for like being misgendered or like mispronounced or whatever, and I was just kind of like, okay, if it comes to it, it's whatever. I can just reblock him if necessary. But I wanted to like give him a chance to kind of show that he could be a cool person. And so I was kind of talking with him. I just like messaged him. I was like, yo, and then he was like, sup, man? And I was like, is he actually talking to, like, the person he thinks he's talking to, or is he actually acknowledging my gender properly? And then, like, continued on. I was like, hey, maybe we can, like, talk on the phone and, like, catch up or something. And he was like, yeah, what's your number, man? And I was like, I gave him my number, which he hasn't really talked to me since, but um, there's a possibility of us, like, catching up and possibly being friends again, which would be totally cool, because, like, now that I've been able to trauma dump on my podcast, I'm starting to be able to now remember happier memories, because now my brain isn't super hyper fixated on just all the negative memories all the time and being like, we have to remember all of this because who knows, we need to know this information for any bad situations. And then, um, yeah, not the best. But I'm saying we're as me, I am working through all of that, and now I'm able to remember the better parts of the relationship I had with him, and I'm starting to remember the better parts of all the relationships I've had with people. And, like, I still don't fully remember my childhood from probably about, like, 4 or 5 to maybe 8 or 9, so I have, like, this little gap in my memory where I don't remember anything really. um, I don't know, which is typical of anybody who's gone through trauma. So eventually maybe I'll remember something. It's probably just, like, super mellow, happy memories, because that's what my brain has done. It just blocked out everything happy and then made it so I remembered everything negative. Trauma people usually do remember positive stuff and then block the negative from themselves. My brain chose to do the opposite. So, yay. um, Makes it easier for processing the bad stuff for me, though, because then I'm like, oh, well, there was this bad thing. And then I just, like, need to dive into the memory a bit more to remember all of the negative stuff, and then I'm able to process it better and then let it go. So, my podcast has been great for me, and thank you to anybody who is listening to it and watching it, and I am sorry to anybody who I have possibly hurt while I've shared the truth about my past and who I've been. A lot of the things that I've said in my podcast is no longer true, and it's not who I am anymore, and I don't believe in everything that I've said in there prior to now. Obviously, I'm going to be going through and unpacking it. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to unpack it on YouTube or if I'm just going to continue doing it on Spotify. It's up in the air. If you guys are interested, it's the Walking Podcast. You have to write out podcast in it. It's not just the walking, and you have to write out podcasts. So the Walking Podcast on Spotify is where I post it. It is very involved. It's very detailed because I do not hold back on any of the details. There is quite a few incidences that could be trigger warnings for you guys too. So if you guys were interested about my history and where I've come from, then feel free to listen on there. And then it's also going to turn into how my growth comes into play. So good healing experiences. I hope that anybody who listens is able to work through their stuff with me, and feel free to contact me if you have questions or need somebody to process with. I'm here to listen to. Oh, hello, Luna. And so during this past month, I know I already kind of touched on this a little bit already. Taking my testosterone every week is starting to feel a little bit like a task. It's kind of annoying to sit there and have to take the testosterone every week, but honestly, it's better than the alternative, so I much rather have to still keep poking myself every week to feel like myself than to have to be super depressed and not feel myself and have periods. And yeah, periods honestly were dreadful for me, so I just, that's like my first thought. I'm like, do you want to go off of testosterone and be on periods? And my brain says no. And I'm like, all right, then pokey time. And I'm like, okay. So I know there's other ways of birth control, and that's not basically where we're trying to go with that. I know that you can do birth control things where you don't get your period every month, but again, I still don't want to experience the female stuff. Like, I like feeling physically strong, I like having a mustache and shaving, and I like feeling warm, and unfortunately, female bodies run a lot colder than men's, so I like feeling warm. And just like, I enjoy all of the physical effects of being on testosterone versus estrogen. I would still totally get my uterus removed if that meant that I was able to stop taking injections every week and I knew it wouldn't revert me back to being female, which your ovaries are what generates the estrogen, so I would have to take the ovaries out as well. Whatever, at this point, I'd take it out. I mean, I'm probably not going to be able to have kids. I don't really want kids anyways because it's a parasite kind of thing as well, where I don't want to be carrying around something that's going to seep the life out of me. So overall, I just want to get that thing removed. I mean, I don't know what would happen potentially if I was to get that removed and then go off of T. Potentially, maybe I wouldn't need to worry about it because now I wouldn't have any like hormones that I would have to really worry about. And if you're taking the ovaries out, then your body's just, even female bodies have testosterone in it, so it would just be testosterone in my body. So who knows? A lot of other things that I also have noticed. I used to have really bad scoliosis when I was just female before T and stuff. And my scoliosis has improved because I've been able to build up more muscle being on T. So my scoliosis has improved. I'm able to have a regular shitting schedule. So I don't really get constipated too much anymore. And then just being physically warm and having like a mustache and a deeper voice and all this is like super great. I love all of it. And yeah, so it's just, I enjoy being a guy. And then let's see. Yeah, so leg hair has been developing a little bit more on me as well, where it's getting thicker on my ankle here, like right there, and then it's also kind of getting thicker right here, which I've heard a lot of trans people say that like your leg hair starts at your ankle and starts at your crotch and then kind of somehow meets in the middle, so it just kind of like creeps up and down at the same time. And so the thing with the leg hair is, who would have thought of leg hair pain? Like, I wouldn't have expected that. Like, sometimes some of the hairs right here can get like stuck going in one direction, or I have the socks pressing on it going in one direction, or like I wear an anklet on this ankle and sometimes it pushes the hairs going in one direction another way or something, and when you move it back, you get that hair pain. It's very uncomfortable, and I haven't really experienced it too much before because I didn't have like thicker leg hair there. So, leg hair pain, that's a thing apparently. So, woohoo! And that kind of concludes everything I had on my list. I'm sure I just talked your ears off for like maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes or so. I have no idea how long that was, but longer than I usually want to make it. So let's get on to the testosterone and doing my injection. And so I've migrated onto Sundays doing my injections now instead of Saturdays. Beforehand I was doing like Saturday night right before bed. Now I'm doing like Sunday midday when I wake up or something like that, whenever I feel ready to do it. But yeah, going to bed before or going to bed after I take my injection on Saturday, just I usually come up here and I'm just like, I'm tired, I'm not doing that right now, and I'll do it tomorrow kind of thing. And plus also like having that one day where I was trying to see like what would happen if I like delayed this a little bit. kind of also put it another day beyond. So we're doing this on Sundays now instead of Saturday nights. Anywhere on Sunday really is where I'm kind of aiming for, just as long as it's on Sunday. I'm sure that you guys can also hear that my voice is a little bit deeper now. I have had to figure out how to laugh all over again, which was kind of a little bit weird. And I do kind of test my vocals as well a lot. Like, I originally have been a singer. I've always enjoyed singing and stuff, but singing with voice cracks is not very easy, so I sound really bad right now. And so I'm slowly getting better, making slow progress, and I'm still trying to figure out, like, what notes that I can hit with my voice. And sometimes I still hit, like, them wrong, or I'm too flat, so there's that's kind of frustrating, but hey, I gotta relearn my vocals somehow. But we're getting there. But yeah, laughing, trying to figure out how to laugh all over again. It kind of started out like I was a giggler, like when I presented as female. And like I'd sit there and I'd just like laugh. Sometimes I even just nervous laughed, like, and I would do it unconsciously, and I'd just be like, oh shit, I was laughing. That's really weird. And my ex actually used to catch me like nervous laughing a lot, and she was like, kind of is like, are you actually laughing or is that nervous laughter? And I'm just like, wait, I laughed? And she was like, yeah, you were just laughing. And I was like, huh, must have been nervous then. Because nervous laughter I used to do unconsciously a lot, which a lot of people probably took as me just finding a situation funny, which was kind of the way I would try to hope that they would take it as. So that's woohoo. Well hidden. But yeah, figuring out how to laugh, going from like to like it's a lot harder. But I'm still a little bit of a giggler. I do enjoy giggling. I just like laughing. So figuring out how to laugh, that's not something that anyone had ever told me before, so now you guys know. But yeah, getting all listish. I should probably also take my vitamins as well. I still am taking all of the stuff. I did take like a whole month off of taking my vitamins because like currently I am not going out and working a lot, so I don't feel the need to take them as much, which I probably should just take them just for like mental health purposes and stuff, because mushrooms are good for your brain. I do have a mushroom supplement, so yeah. But yeah. But it's going pretty good. Past month wasn't too bad. Had a therapy appointment a couple times, and she is concerned about like my social situation since it's winter, and like the fact that I'm unemployed, and so I'm just like, my introverted self is just like socializing. I don't want to do it. But I know it probably would be good. I've been trying to hang out with friends since she said her concerns about it, but again, it's still a little bit difficult just because of the fact that it's winter and working, and everyone's got like a busy schedule of some sort, so meeting up with friends ain't always an available option, so, which is totally fine. Everybody's got to work and do their thing, so I understand, and I also enjoy being alone, so I don't mind. The introvert in me socializing? Ooh, scary. There is one tiny little bubble that is going right back and forth in this, and it's giving me some sass. Alright, there we go. Alrighty. Alright, now let's figure out. Oh, do I not have my alcohol up here? I don't have my alcohol up here. Poopsie. I left it downstairs. I was cleaning some stuff that needed to be cleaned with my alcohol. I guess I gotta go grab it, because I gotta clean my spot. Alright, I will be right back. Alright, got the alcohol. And I just checked how long we are at on this video. It looks like about 45 minutes. Your boy likes to talk. We are a chatty Cathy. Wait, what would be a chatty Cathy but like a male like name? A chatty Craig. Chatty Craig. A chatty Craig. Craig is a chatty boy. Alright, this is not wide enough to bring... Oh, well, no, I'm not doing, like, my knee. Yeah, I can't do it like that. Alright. Do I take my vitamins first, or shall I do the injection first? I'll do an injection first because it needs to do some solidifying with the blood and whatnot. Okay. I'm not trying to soak myself in alcohol again. Alright. Pants time. Pants time. Alright. Yeah, so not very hairy down here yet, but this guy over here, so don't be touching the floor. Right. Yippity-doo-dah. Yippity-doo-day. Oh shit, where did I wipe? Okay. Still don't like poking myself every week. Not a huge fan of it. Alright, so, two things. First off, I forgot to push it into the needle head. So, that's a lot of blood. How about that? I did just put some air into my leg, happily, because of the fact that I'm only injecting into my fat. It's not a big deal. But if you were injecting into your vein, that would have been really bad. So, just saying. What I did was not wrong, but still nerve-wracking a little bit. Wow, that's a lot of blood. Wow. Alright, we'll let that become a scab. Alright, as we take some vitamins. And the second thing that I was gonna say is I felt the nerve thing as well. I felt it down in my ankle this time. So, yeah, super fun. Grab my water. And so, out of my vitamins, calcium, I just need calcium for myself, even if I wasn't on, like, testosterone or trying to, like, boost testosterone in my body. It's just really good for your body, calcium. Turmeric is good for your health, and It can help naturally boost a little bit of testosterone in your body as well. Yeah. Milk thistle. I'm still doing the liver detox thing, which all medications that you are on get sent through your liver. And I actually was talking to somebody who is like super obsessed with like facts and information about liver, so I had like a whole long description that I was like reading through, and it's super fascinating, but like, oh, I was having a little bit of a hard time following all of it, but it's super useful, and like your liver is like a huge cleaner of your body and like keeping you healthy, so like keep your liver health up. So milk thistle, that's one of the good things for it as well. I take 2, which since I took like a month off, I still have maybe like a week's worth of taking 2 a day. I'm trying to finish off the bottle, and I'm gonna just stop with the milk thistle after that. Yeah. And then some zinc. Zinc's really good for your health, keeping you healthy. It boosts your immune system. I'm sure it's got quite a few other benefits as well. Magnesium is just really good for your body. My mom used to tell me all the time that I need to have more magnesium in my body because of the fact that like I was always cold and I literally couldn't gain weight for the life of me. Like I lived from being 12 until 25 of being like 89 pounds. So it's helped a little bit. But also being on tea has helped a little bit in that sense too, so. Biotin, really good for your hair and skin and nails. Really good for you if you are a pregnant lady or breastfeeding or something like that. Taking biotin, really good for you. I keep saying pregnant lady like women are the only ones that can get pregnant. You can have a trans man who gets pregnant as well. So anybody who has a uterus and is pregnant or something. Let's see. And then this is my mushroom complex one. That's good for your brain and your body and quite a few other benefits. Not remembering them all off the top of my head, but mushrooms, really good for you. Don't overdo it on the mushrooms though, because my grandma was kind of like super obsessed over mushrooms for a little while, and now she has like literally fungus growing on her hand, so try not to overdo it with the mushrooms. I feel it might be involved in that some sense, but I don't fully know. I'm not a doctor. It's just an observation and idea that I may have, so yeah. And then we got ashwagandha, really good for male, and it helps like boost the testosterone in your body. It helps boost your sex drive. It can give you better, longer lasting erections as well. It can also give you really vivid dreaming as well, so it's really good for your brain and sleeping. So taking it before bed can be really beneficial, or even taking it at the beginning of your day can also be beneficial if you're trying to get a nice erection later on in the night or something. So yeah, ashwagandha, really good. Tastes a little meth though. looks like we got a scab. Yay, scab. Alright. So, that is all the crazy updates I have for you for my 8th months. We can dive a little bit more into the pronunciation of like pronouns and stuff next time. Think of anything else that I might have questions as like a beginner going into this, but I feel like I've covered mostly everything. But again, guys, feel free to please reach out to me on any of my socials if you guys have any questions or you need some support as well. If you are a person who doesn't have a lot of knowledge in this field, please just approach me like saying that you're a beginner, because I don't want to like kind of get frustrated with you and then be like, oh, I'm sorry, you're a beginner. My bad. Okay. But just approach me with an open mind and stuff, because I don't want to like set off any like wrong opinions or anything. But also just be aware that not all trans people are the same. We're all different. My journey can differentiate from the person next to me. Also, trans women also go through a lot more of a difference as well. I don't fully know what that's all like, but I eventually would like to get a trans woman onto here and then have her talk about her experiences. Also, sometimes there is non-binary people that go on to hormones as well, who just enjoy the feeling of the hormone, but they still choose to be non-binary. Totally valid. A lot of non-binary people are okay with just being non-binary and not being on hormones as well, which is also totally fine. Whatever fits them and suits them. I only say this because I am gender fluid into non-binary as well. So some days, yes, I might feel a little bit more non-binary. Some days I might feel a little bit more feminine. Some days I might feel more masculine. It all varies, and nothing's kind of like set in stone. And then also there's some people who go on to like testosterone, and then maybe after like some amount of time, it can be like a month, it can be a couple months, it can be a year, it can be a couple years, and then they decide to go off either for a health purpose or just because they don't even vibe with it anymore. And that's totally fine. Like, don't discount their like feelings and the way they are just because of the fact that they made this decision. And just because someone went into a transition and then had the whole experience of transitioning and then decides to stop and then go back doesn't mean that they're not trans. It just means that maybe that was part of their experience. Maybe to figuring out who they are, they had to go through that experience, and maybe then they'll come back out as being female again, which can be really confusing. But that's okay, because they're probably about as confused as you are, if not more, because they're the one is experiencing it. So it's really hard. And I just wanted to kind of like give this heads up a little bit too, just in case something like that might happen to me or might happen to somebody else. I'm not saying that it's going to happen to me, but I'm just saying that it could happen to me. And just keep an open mind. Not everybody is the same. I don't have a plan to do that, and I don't plan to stop taking tea, but if there's an occasion where the healthcare system ends up not being allowed to give out hormones to people anymore, or they start discriminating against trans people even more, then there's the possibility that I'm going to be coming on here and I'm going to be very emotional, and I'm probably going to be ranting a lot, saying how upset I am to not be on my hormones anymore, because I dread being a female. I do not enjoy it at all. And part of the reason why I've been documenting this too is to kind of show to myself the metamorphosis I've been going through, and then also where I came from. I mean, I might not be the same going back into it, but I don't really see myself enjoying going back into it. So I enjoy the journey that I'm on, and I enjoy being a trans man. So that's what I wanted to clarify for you guys. And it is possible that someone who also goes through this journey may be obsessing over genders and stuff, but then they come to the conclusion that they literally don't care about gender anymore. And then they stop taking hormones, and then they're just like, I don't even give a shit what people see me as. I have met somebody like that, and that's okay. That's totally fine. They want to identify as non-binary. That's fine. Or androgynous. That's another term for a non-binary type person, which I vibe with androgynous a bit better. I like the word and I like the flow of it. Non-binary is just the more normalized term. I like the word androgynous, so I'm going to be using that one for myself more often now. And so I just wanted to let you guys know on that sense. So if you guys want to find me on some other social media, you guys want to contact me or talk with me, ask for support, or even just have some questions you want to have answered, please ask me, because then I might share your question publicly, because you might not be the only one thinking it. So feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or Snapchat. Instagram is ask_believe_receive. Snapchat is Lincoln Park 8. If you add me by my username on Snapchat, I will add you back, so don't worry about that. And then Instagram, you can just do direct messages as well. You can also find my podcast on Spotify, which I mentioned that one earlier. And then you can also find me on eBay. I'm trying to like sell stuff on there, and then also TikTok as well. And those guys are all under DylanSchuyler, and DylanSchuyler is spelled DYLAN, and Schuyler is SCHUYLER. And thank you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. It shows that you guys are totally awesome and helping me out in staying progressive in this manner. And I hope that we can all become more of a community that's a lot more loving and accepting of each other, and knowing that we're all different and difference is beautiful and change is amazing. So bye guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up and please subscribe too. Bye. Love you all.